Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Morning, Ed and Laura. If you guys, there you guys are. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you, Bill?
Good.
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Morning, Bill.
Good morning, Ed. How you doing, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
Very, very good. Thank you. Now, you guys, hey, somebody was telling me you guys are specializing up in the Sammamish area. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we've been up here for a long time.
Yeah. How long have you guys lived up there?
About 20 years.
Have you really? That's where I grew up. So,
Oh, is that right? Which?
I grew up between Pine Lake and Beaver Lake.
So, Pine Lake is our backyard. I go to the Pine Lake Club. Well, prior to COVID, go to the Pine Lake all the time. It's a beautiful lake. Yeah.
It is. It is much different than when I was there. Let's just say that. So,
where are you now, Bill?
I was there from so I graduated Issaquah High in 1990. So,
okay. Yeah, our kids are going to Issaquah High. Yeah. Where are you now? Are you down somewhere else?
I'm in Maple Valley, so just down Issaquah Hobart Road and 18 from you there. So yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a beautiful area there. Lots of space.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is. It is beautiful. Good morning, Miss Susan. How are you?
Good.
Good. We're just, and I apologize. Normally I start everything right on time, but we're going to wait just a couple minutes because people are just walking in here. So Susan, you were saying something though.
Nothing. Just
nothing.
Good.
I shot you down.
So glad it's Friday. One of those classic glad it's Friday things.
Hey, it is just, from an office point of view, right? Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so the offices are closed on Mondays, on this next Monday. So.
Are we still doing this class on Monday though? Do you know?
No.
Or no?
What's that?
Is this class still happening on Monday?
I don't think so. Is it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But I will double check.
All right.
Because I don't have the calendar right here in front of me. So. Today is gonna be really not a very long class because it's gonna be all about you guys and your agenda, what you have on your mind. This is about market center specifics. We will go over a little bit of our history. We'll go over a little bit of what everybody does, right? And kind of some expectations. But then it's gonna open up to you guys and what's on your minds and what you would like to have answered. Good morning, Josh. Kyle.
Good morning.
Morning, man. As soon as my clock hits 9:05, we're going to start here, guys. Don't ask me why. For some reason, the Love Boat theme is in my head today, so I'm like whistling it as I go along. Susan's like, no.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
Yes.
Pretty much.
All right.
Always have a song in my head. So.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. All right. It is 9:05. So let's get going today. So welcome to your perfect. If you need to leave in 45 minutes, Laura, that's awesome. Thank you for letting me know that. So, okay. And good luck on your showings today. Go nail them. Okay. All right. Hey, so today is really and truly going over market center specifics. Let me ask this question to you right now, though. This is session 12, I believe session 12, correct? So how have all the sessions before this, what has been your ahas so far? It's okay.
Honestly, I think the scripts, I had no idea people, because I've never been in sales before, I didn't know there's such a script to follow that works. So that's been my aha.
That's awesome. Your top agents that with throughout the entire company always use scripts and follow scripts. So yeah, that's awesome. And there's all the time. Susan.
Speaking of scripts, I've heard you talk about, sending, we can call it CMA, whatever, to their friends too, with the sort of framework of helping people keep up to date on what's happening with their biggest investment, their home. But the way you explained it to me yesterday was even slightly different. And the thing that was like, low for me was like, hey, I'm just doing this for all my friends, because I'm still at that place of having an actual conversation, with everyone I know, versus just putting them on some sort of, sending them a text or just kind of letting them know I'm real estate, but really like having a reason to get their information, to send them something. Can you just explain that again for everybody? I just thought that was brilliant.
So you're asking,
like speaking of script, like go through like a script of if you were new and calling your friends and people that not just to tell them you're in real estate now and do you know anybody that's looking to buy or sell, blah, blah, but really to gather their information so that you can keep them informed of their.
Yeah. So to set the context of this, Susan and I were talking yesterday, we're talking about ways that, how do we get in touch with the database, right? Many of you have a database, but there's really truly 4 essential items that we need of every person that's in the database, right? We obviously need their name, we need their phone number, we need their email, and we need their address, right? And so when I'm talking to people in my database, if I'm going through and I'm missing information, I simply have a conversation with them, and as Susan and I were talking, and I'm like, hey, Susan, it's Bill, checking in with you to see how you're doing. How are things going, Susan? Look at it, putting her on the spot here.
I can answer.
Yep.
Hey, Bill. Oh my gosh, I haven't talked to you in a while. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Yeah, and I apologize. We have not talked in a while. And, one of the things that I'm doing for this next year is making sure that I'm in contact with people that I really care about, my friends and my family. And I'm cleaning up my database right now. And I'm noticing that I don't have your email. And I wanted to see if you'd mind sharing your email with me.
Sure. Okay. It's blah, 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 blah.
Okay, it's blah, 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 blah. Perfect. So I've got that down. Hey, one of the things that I will always do, right? I've got your address, I've got your phone number, I've got your email. One of the things that I always do for all of my friends and families is I always send them a CMA, right? Your house is your biggest investment. And I always make sure that I'm sending a CMA at least every quarter, so you know what your home and what your investment is worth.
What's a CMA?
A CMA is a comparative market analysis, right? To show you, I'm sure, have you ever spent some time looking on Zillow or looking on Redfin?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Why do you go to Zillow and why do you go to Redfin? What do you want to know?
I want to know my house is worth.
Yeah, you want to know what your house is worth, right? You want to know if it's going up in value or down in value, right? Well, they just use an algorithm and put some stuff together. What I like to do for my friends and family is actually do an actual market analysis. And so I'm just going to send you, by email or by mail, a comparative market analysis to show you what your home is really worth every year. Does that sound like a good idea?
Oh, well, yeah, sure.
Perfect.
I mean, I don't really want to. I don't really want to move. I love my house, but
You know what? This again, something I like to do for my friends and family. I think it's important, right? I'm sure you have a 401k.
Yeah.
Yeah. How often do they send you information on your 401k?
I think quarterly.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Quarterly. So how about if we take your largest investment, your home, and keep you updated what's going on quarterly on your largest investment?
Oh, that's a really good idea. Okay.
Perfect. There we go. Okay. Break script.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's information like that, right? I just want to talk to them about this is what I'm doing. Because a lot of people are like, don't bother me with this, or don't go out of your way to do this for me. And it's not. This is what I do for my friends and my family. So, okay. Any other ahas?
For me, it was about like creating goals, but not just setting those goals, but creating systems to achieve those goals. Because if you don't have a system behind it, you can't really get to those goals. So that was kind of my big aha, is just getting more organized and creating those for myself.
I love that. Love that. Mm-hmm. Any other ahas?
Can I ask, Amanda, what systems are you putting in place?
Well, just like about like nurturing and, my sphere of influence has been really important recently. And so just like setting aside time to make those phone calls.
Okay.
And I sent out letters and stuff like that. So I'm just doing more of like the nurturing of that right now. And I've gotten some good leads, which I was really surprised about. So
Good for you. Nice job. Fortune, I'm telling you guys, fortune is in the follow-up. It really is. Okay. And I don't know if we talked about it last time that I was with you guys, but 98% of all real estate agents are only working with people that are going to buy or sell in the next 12 weeks, which means that 2% are working with, 90% of the buyers and sellers that are going to sell in the next 2 years. So if you're in touch with them and you have a follow-up system, you have a regular touch system with them, that fortune just builds and builds and builds over the years, and it's pretty amazing to watch. So very cool. Okay, well, let's get into a little bit of market center specifics, right? Talk about who we are, and again, this is going to be pretty short, but we'll talk about it and answer any questions that you have, and then the meeting is yours. Okay, so you are, as part of Keller Williams Puget Sound, Keller Williams Mountain Sound, you are part of the Ranch Brokerage Network, right? The Ranch Brokerage Network is made up of different locations. We are in, obviously, Federal Way. This is where our home hub, where we started at, going on 16 years ago. We are in Federal Way. We have a location in Kent, Covington, which we call Mountains to Sound. We have a location in Burien, which is our business office for the Federal Way office, right? So they're part of the Puget Sound location as well. We have an office location in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, as well. And we have smaller mega agent offices, locations in Enumclaw, and we continue to grow. So Keller Williams, the Puget Sound location, or the Federal Way location, really and truly started we're going on, I think, 16 years now. It started off in basically a Pam and Dennis Ranch, who are operating principals, started off in a garage, at a friend's house, and that's literally how we grew, and to the location that we are today. Keller Williams Puget Sound, our Federal Way location, we are number 34. Keller Williams themselves has over 800 different locations, right? Individual offices and that. We are number 34 when it comes to profit in the entire company, and number 16 when it comes to true profit. Okay. Our Mountains of Sound location is only going on 3 years old. Our Kent Covington location, we opened that up. We started there with 36 agents 3 years ago, and now you can see that we're almost at 120 agents over there, and we continue to grow very, very fast. So
what's the difference between profit and true profit?
So the difference between profit is when you take out taxes, when you take out some different things that they calculate. When we go the reverse, when we do the reverse taxes, everything else, that's what it comes down to, true profit. So it's a formula that they follow, and I don't have it here in front of me to specifically answer that question, but Dennis Ranch is the one that knows. Okay. In your market centers, you always have, now hopefully you guys all know, you have one designated broker. That is John Hansen. He is the one that looks over all of your contracts when your contracts come in, to make sure that you are compliant, right? John oversees our locations here in Washington, and then we have a different designated broker over in our one in Coeur d'Alene in Idaho. But John is the one that you're going to be mainly concerned with, and his role is, again, to look over your contracts. And when you have an issue with a contract, John is the one that you actually are going to get in touch with, right? If you ever have an agent on the other side that is going, hey, I disagree with you on this, that's where we get John involved. John is not going to be there to help you write your contracts, but he is there to be kind of that guide and compliance as you go through, right? So if a contract goes bad, for any reason, John really truly is liable, okay, as a designated broker. In your different locations, you have your team leaders. So for the Federal Way, you have Lindy, who is the team leader of growth, okay, and director of growth. I'm the team leader, co-team leader at Federal Way, and I'm the director of productivity. So my job is to make sure that I'm working alongside you guys to make sure your productivity is up and that you're meeting the goals that you have as your success. Okay. In our Kent location, you have Cole Finley, who is the team leader over there. Okay. And she is there to sit down. The team leader's role really and truly is to sit down with the top 20% and continue to pour into the 20%. Since in Federal Way, we have 2 team leaders, right? Lindy focuses on the top 20% and I focus on the next 20%. And then you have, your mentors and your productivity coaches. You also have, in all of your market centers, you have your MCAs, right? So the MCAs that we have here for Kent, our Kent location is going to be Gwen Stovey. For our Federal Way location is Emily Williams and Eva Fowler, right? The MCAs are the ones that take care of all the financials for you in your market center. They're the ones that go through and make sure that you get paid when you have a transaction that closes. They're the ones that, do your agent billing. So when you get your monthly billing, right, each month for $83, they're the ones that process the cards and everything else. If you ever have issues with any payments, those are the ladies that you go and you contact. You also have, in both locations, you have your director of first impressions, right? So over in our Kent Covington location, you're going to have Cindy. Here in our Federal Way location, you're going to have Elena. Okay, they're the ones that are there. They're the ones that greet your clients when they come and they have an appointment. They're the ones that say hello, make sure that you have conference rooms set up, everything else. The Kent Federal or Kent Covington location has got 3 staff members, right? You also have over the Kent Covington location, you have Brian Pham, who is the productivity coach and keeps track of the mentors and all the agents that are in the productivity coaching program. The productivity coach here at the Federal Way location is Ryan, okay? Ryan Muse. And Ryan is going to be looking over the mentors and the staff, the faculty here at the Federal Way location. At the Federal Way location, you also have, remember we have two MCAs, Emily Williams and Eva Fowler. We also have a agent service coordinator who is Carmen, Holtman. All of you have probably met Carmen, right? She's the bubbly one, and when you come in person, we'll give you hugs all the time. But she is the one she is just all bubbly and all culture. Okay, her role is to really truly walk you through the process of orientation, getting you signed on. When you have a question about license or anything else, she is the one that you would talk to at that point. Okay, and then we also have Goldie, and Goldie is our director basically of the market center calendar. So she's the one that does all the marketing for the market center. She's the one that puts our calendars together and helps me line up our faculty and line up our training that we go through with as agents. Okay. Is there any questions about our staff and what they do? Okay. You have your OPs or your operating principals for each location, right? Dennis Ranch is the operating principal and owner here of our Federal Way location. And Pam Ranch is the owner or the operating principal for the Kent Covington location. Okay. Again, when we talk about locations, remember Burien is part of that Federal Way, and then Coeur d'Alene, because they're in a different state, is totally run separately. But Dennis is the one that is the operating principal over there as well. Okay.
I have a general question about their roles and kind of representing Keller Williams. So if we're,
Yes.
I come from like a kind of a corporate partnership and business development background. So if we're, let's say, representing Keller Williams on a larger scale, let's say to national builders, or something like this, right? National brands or bigger brands. How do we do we need to check in, or do we need to somehow work with others to sort of make sure there's this branding thing I have where we sort of have our own like local brand, but we're under, let's say, KWMTS or KW Puget Sound or something. And so how do we manage that sort of representation of the brand?
So your representation, here's the one thing that Keller Williams has always said, is you are your brand, right? We work for you. So Ed, as you go out, if you have the relationship with the Masters Builder Association or whoever it is, that really truly is your brand. You're able to do that. Okay. Now, we always ask that you just represent the KW brand or the Ranch Brokerage Network or, the location that you're at. Always just do that with the highest integrity. So, but if it's something that for example, when I'm putting things on marketing, right? I have the Allison Real Estate Group, right? powered by Keller Williams Mountain to Sound.
Right.
That's how I always say it. So if you have any of my marketing, or if you hear, I'm talking to you, or you see me do a video, again, I'm the team leader at Federal Way, but my license is hung at Mountains to Sound, right? So it kind of flows through. But I always say it, Ed, as hey, Bill Allison with the Allison Real Estate Group, powered by Keller Williams Mountain to Sound.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does. I don't want to get too into it, too radical, but if there's any like guidance or sort of areas where, let's say, we don't want to work with certain brands, or we don't, or there's previous relationships, or something like this. I mean, I don't know how that information is ever shared. Like, oh, we worked with so-and-so builder, or we worked with so-and-so this, and
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like just, and maybe it's just sort of, as we're locally sort of branding and talking to them, we recreate that history with them. But if there's previous knowledge or history, it's great to draw on it.
Here's the thing, you always have access to Dennis and to Pam at all times, right? And you could always check in with them and say, hey, this is the relationship that I have here. Understand that a lot of our agents represent a lot of builders, right? I mean, we've got, people from Alan Powell and Jeannie Anderson. I mean, Jeannie, works with, JK Monarch, and represents them, but there are lots of different agents. You could always check in with Pam or Dennis at any time. They'd be willing to take your call, and you could just by them as well.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. At each of your locations, you also have an ALC. Okay. Does anybody know what the ALC is? Ooh, look at, we're going to get somebody. All right, here we go. So the ALC is the Agent Leadership Council, right? So when Keller Williams was first established, or when they went through the history, and when the agent went to Gary, said, yep, there you go. There they are right there. So thank you, Susan. So the ALC is your Agent Leadership Council. It was established so that the agents can have a voice of what happens in the market centers. So you have ALCs that represent on a market center level. So we have an ALC in the Kent Covington location. We have an ALC in the Federal Way location. You also have a regional ALC that represents the Northwest region, and an international ALC that represents the entire company and what we do as an international. Okay, so your ALC does different committees such as culture, education, right, diversity and equity, finance. There's a bunch more that I'm going to blank out on, but there's a bunch of committees that you can get involved with, and that you can actually have a voice of what we are doing in the market center at all times. The ALC is made up from agents that are in the top 20% of their location, right? That have a profit share tree line that's built up, has at least one person in it. And they have different standards that they meet, and they get together with the team leaders. You are able to go to all the ALC meetings anytime. They meet once a month with the TL. They go over their business. You're going to see exactly how their businesses are run. You're going to see leadership potential, but the ALC is there for you so that you have a voice in the market center. Okay. I would highly encourage you to look at the ALCs. When you attend the Vision Breakfast on the 21st, or on the 25th, 25th of this month, you're going to get to hear all the ALC members get up and talk about what their vision is for their committees and their communities. Okay. Which will be exciting. It'll be good stuff. Okay, that's the ALC. Yes, Susan.
I'm gonna have questions.
That's so good.
Is there a consistent place where we can find sort of just stats on Keller Williams and Puget Sound? Like, what I want to be able to do is reference that, because I don't have my own stats yet, right?
Yeah.
So I want to bring the power of this company to make me look good, essentially.
So yes, so we call that our lore, right? So if you ever go to mykw, .kw.com, so mykw.kw.com, you are going to find your availability for reports. You're going to see things that are available for the market center. You should have your market center stats in there. Your yearly multi-year trend stats will be there once you've been with Keller Williams for over a year. But as you start to build stats, by the way, we always go over those in our business meeting on the third business meeting of the month as well, that you have those stats presented to you as well. But those reports are available on mykw.kw.com.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, guys. So this meeting is yours. This is your chance to ask and set the agenda. I'm going to ask you what's on your mind, right? And what you want to talk about, because this is Market Center specifics. This is where you get to ask questions. And then, because there's no, in the Ignite, there's no PowerPoint for this. There's no nothing. It is up to you, right? Let me ask you this question before we go. When you do sign a contract with somebody, how much time do you have to get that submitted and into the Market Center? Does somebody know how many hours you have or days?
I thought it was by close of business the same day. Is that not right?
So, which is great. We love it if you have it in by close of business on the same day. But anytime you sign a contract with somebody, you actually have 48 hours to get it into the Market Center. Okay. But yes, Ed, if you get it in end of day, your MCAs are going to be incredibly happy and love you. So, by the way, if you ever want to be best friends with the MCAs, one of the things to do is they love chocolate, right? So chocolate and coffee, and you will be their best friends. If you're in the Kent Covington location, just ask Gwen how much she bench presses. That's all you got to keep asking her. She loves to talk about how much she bench presses. So.
And sorry, Bill. And so just to be specific though, so when you say contracts in, do you mean like literally in command those upload essentially but within 48 hours that those documents need to be, the required documents have to be within those boxes essentially.
They have to be within those boxes, and you have had to have hit the submit button.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
Yep. So it submits it to the Market Center.
And then sometimes I've been trying to avoid this with process, but if they bounce back, does that reset the 48-hour clock, or do we have to?
No, it does not. Nope.
No.
So if they bounce, so when they bounce back, and so that we understand, if they bounce back, right, it's typically because John has looked over it and there's something that he doesn't see that needs to be in there. There will always be, when you look in command, there's a bell at the top of command, right? And it will have a red dot. And if there's a red dot there, that tells you that you have a notification. Either you have a client, right, or John has sent something back. I mean, it's telling you, hey, come look at me right now. But John will typically attach a note as to what he is not seeing. For example, when I submit some stuff right now, when I submit stuff on command, you'll notice in command for one of the documents, it says, hey, your PSA, your legal, and your Form 17. But it wants it all together. I don't like submitting it like that, right? So I like submitting it as, here's the PSA, and then in the other documents down below, I'll attach the legal and I'll attach the Form 17. And it used to be that John kept pinging me back going, you're missing your 17, you're missing your legal. So I would include notes in there going, hey, 17 and legal in other documents, so that he knew to go look down further.
Yeah.
But it does not reset the 48-hour clock. No, it's once you submit them, you submit them. There will always be things that we do just to keep it clean for audit if the state ever comes and audits us.
I guess what I meant by reset is so let's say you the next day you submit it, it bounces back. Do you only have 24 hours to respond to John's comments? Or let's say even worst case scenario, it's 47 hours and John comes back and says, no, fix these 3 things. Do you have 1 hour left? You know what I mean?
No.
Like, okay.
No, it does not. Once you hit submit, right? What it does is it lets the Market Center know that it is under contract. Okay. When John is bouncing stuff back to you, it is not a time frame. We ask that those things get done before the close of the contract, the closing date. Now, here's what you're going to find. John is overseeing, 500 plus agents, right? Contracts that are coming in. He's looking at roughly about 70 contracts a day. That's what he does. Sometimes a transaction will close, and then you're going to get a notification after the transaction is closed of, hey, we still need this form or this signature in the form, and then you have to go back and get that form and that signature. Okay, but it is not a time, there's no time limit on that. There's no 48 hours on that when he sends that back.
Got it. Thank you.
Did I answer that question correctly? So you're saying, okay, perfect. Okay, what else is on your minds?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a script for like organically meeting somebody like out and about, like at a grocery store or something?
No, not that I've seen on paper. I'm sure somebody does at some point.
Okay.
You have the connection through the Facebook groups. There are so many KW Facebook groups that I'm sure somebody, if you just put it out there, somebody has one, right?
Okay.
Organically, if I'm ever looking at somebody, I just know what I do, right? Which is I have the forward conversation with somebody,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and it's, for example, I got to meet really and truly, I've gotten to meet Susan before, right? But Susan and I had a meeting yesterday. And it's really truly the first time that we sat down and we really kind of met. And the first thing, it's just like, hey, tell me about you, right? I will tell you that the best script, even in organically, like when you meet somebody organically, is just to ask questions. The more questions you ask, and you have to learn how to build rapport, right? If you match their tonality of their voice, if you match the, you know, the way, and don't be overly obvious. I mean, one, don't ever try to copy an accent, whatever you do, right? But if you meet somebody, match their breathing, you know, if they're leaning forward, you know, however they are standing, stand the same way, right? You want to build that rapport. There's so many things through body language and tonality that build that rapport. It's not just necessarily finding something in common.
Okay.
Okay. So you are a very pleasant person, Amanda. I mean, it would be one of those things, if you and I met and it was the first time we were meeting, you'd be like, hey, and just talk life, ask questions.
Okay. Yeah. Like an example was when I first got my license, I was in the grocery store and somebody on the next register over was talking about how he was going to sell his house. And I'm always kicking myself because I didn't go up to him and say anything. And I'm like, well, how would I have approached that? You know?
So
So
what are some ideas? What could you have done in that situation?
just said, hey, I overheard your conversation, you know, about you selling your home. You know, do you have an agent or I don't know?
Okay. So that's perfect, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, I'm Amanda, you know, nice to meet you. You know, I overheard your conversation that you're looking at selling your home. Hey, I'm wondering, I'm a real estate agent. Do you have an agent representing you right now?
Mm-hmm.
You know, or do you have any questions about the market?
Okay.
Okay. What other ideas could she have done, guys? Is there anything else she could have done? Don't stalk him and follow him all the way to his house, right? And then go, hey.
Yeah, I was thinking the open-ended question is a little bit better. I mean, obviously the direct, you know, yes, no, do you have an agent is there, but that could be kind of limiting. So maybe first the open-ended kind of help you with, you know, do you know what's happening in the market now, or did you hear about this? Maybe there's a fun fact that just happened, you know, that might be interesting, that might influence them, that maybe is something interesting that kind of grabs their attention, you know, and then kind of something open-ended.
And that's exactly, yeah, the more open-ended you can keep the questions, the better it is. That's great, Ed.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I apologize. You know, when you think you have your phone shut off and then it's like, nope. All right. Okay. What else is on your mind?
I was just gonna follow up on Amanda's. I think you could throw in the. Was my internet slow?
Nope, you're good.
Okay. The hey, I don't mean to bug you, but you know, that kind of thing. Just to help put people at ease a little bit instead of like, oh my gosh, I heard you, you know. Also, I think Amanda, you're gonna say, hey, I love helping people. Do you have anybody helping you with that already? Versus, do you have an agent? At least that opens the door, and it kind of, that's my style anyway, just kind of gives, it's a little bit softer approach. I went to a friend's house a while back, and my daughter and I were walking up the steps to the house. And as we passed, getting ready to park, there was another house a few down that had a for sale sign and had flyers. And I saw this couple walking along, and they stopped and they took out a flyer. So my daughter and I are walking up to my friend's house, and I'm like, I'm going to go talk to those people. She's like, Mom. I go, no, this is what I'm just going to. And I'm like, okay, that's like obnoxious. And then I'm like, no, I'm going to do it. So I turned back around. I waited for them to walk by, and I'm like, hey, I don't mean to bug you, but I noticed you just picked a flyer for that sign or for that house, like, do you have an agent already? And she goes, I am an agent. I'm like, oh, okay, great. I go, sorry, I didn't mean to bug you. And the husband goes, no, that's the business. That was fine. And I'm like, oh, good.
I cannot tell you how many clients have been picked up by agents that drive by and see somebody picking up a flyer or just, stopping by. Literally, we've had agents, that have pulled over before, literally driving down the road, stop, pull over, and have talked to people. Now, this is when we could go into houses, anytime we wanted to, right? But literally pulled over and said, hey, I noticed you're picking up a flyer. I'm a real estate agent. Would you like to go look inside the home right now?
Wow.
Right? And it's like, let's see if we can go view it right now. And yes, and we've had like agents pick up clients that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna go drive neighborhoods today. No.
Gosh, go drive neighborhoods, baby. Go get it. So when we all see on, like our neighborhood chat, strange bearded man with glasses driving white van through neighborhood, we all know it's okay. It's Josh. We're good. So
it's a cream van. Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah. So we're good. How many windows does it have?
It's got a windshield.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, see, yeah, we're good. Yeah. Okay, what else is on your mind? This is your chance to just ask questions.
So in our market center, I'll just tell me to shut up if I'm monopolizing here, but in our market center, what's the split between folks doing commercial and residential only?
Oh, that's a great question. We have a very small commercial division, right? I would say probably about 5% are doing commercial, only commercial, right? And you have, I would say about 5% do commercial and residential or just commercial.
Okay.
So they are, if you want to focus on commercial, I'm telling you the people to get in touch with, Guru Singh, Brian Manaus, right? Yep. Those are going to be your people. Those are your guys that love that aspect of it.
That's great. Thank you.
Commercial's a whole different ball game. Yeah.
Okay, I have one that I don't hear anybody talking about, and Esther, who's not here today, and I were talking about this yesterday. Can you talk about how to appropriately balance or maybe set boundaries or best practices for doing business with your friends? Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, we're all kind of starting with our sphere and people that we know, but there's got to be ways to, like, you want to protect the friendship if it gets weird, or you don't want to feel pushy, or they're really annoying you in business, but you still want to be, maintain the friendship. That's got to be really common, right? And I realize I don't really hear in all the trainings, not just in Keller Williams, but everywhere, I don't really hear people talk about that very much.
What is it that people want the most? In a friendship?
In a friendship?
Yeah.
I think they want to be understood and they want safety, to be themselves, or, to be vulnerable. Depends how close the friendship is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So people want to know, here's what people want to know. One, they want to know, do you care about me? That's the first thing, right? Do you care about me? And I think that's a lot of times people forget real estate is about relationships. It's about staying top of mind that people know that you're a real estate agent. But the fact that if you can show that you care about people, right, that you care about them personally, that makes the biggest difference. The second thing they want to know is, can you help me? And if they know that you care, they know that you want to help them, then they want to know, can I trust you, right? That's all built through rapport. And so I think if you are constantly looking at somebody and going, who do you know? What do you know? I'm calling you because when they feel that the phone call is to get a referral rather than you actually caring about them, not every conversation with my friends is going to be about real estate.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not. It is me caring about who that person is, really and truly, that makes the biggest difference. And let me tell you this, every now and then your friends are going to refer another agent,
Awesome.
you know, or they're going to buy or sell a home. For example, I'll give you this great example. I had a friend of mine that called me back in March of 2020 and said, hey, she'd just gone through a divorce, everything else. She worked for the city of Maple Valley, and she knows other realtors and everything else. But she goes, hey, would you be my real estate agent? You know, would you help me to buy a house? Absolutely. I would love to do that with you, right? She goes, I'm not going to be looking until the end of the year, though. Not a problem, right? I just stayed in touch with her throughout the year. Now, she didn't always pick up her phone, but I'd leave messages. Hey, just checking in on you to see how you're doing. Okay. She started ghosting me the last 2 months, right? Okay. And then I just had another real estate agent that is a good friend of mine go, hey, did you know so-and-so? She just bought a house. And I was like, okay. And I'm sitting there. Now, here's the thing. The connection was that we were in politics together, right? So when, you know, she works for the city and so anyways, I just talked to this guy, said, hey, when you see her tonight, tell her she needs to call me, right? And answer her phone when I call. And it's funny, she texted me back and she's like, well, you need to pick up your phone when I call you. I went through the records. She never called me, right? Because I wanted to know in my mind. I'm like, wow. Okay. And I responded back in a text. I said, hey, I'm really happy that you found a house. Right. And then she was like, oh, I can't, you know, it's been such a mess.
Now. Yeah.
It's like, okay, because the friendship matters more to me than going, oh my goodness. Now, she bought new construction. She walked in, she saw him one day. She went in and she signed with the agent that was on site. Okay. Does it hurt? Absolutely. It freaking kills me. Right. To where I just want to just hit a wall and slap her, you know, and just be like, what were you thinking? Right. And it's like, then I got to remember, this is not about me. Right. If I truly care for her and I love her, I want what's best for her. Okay. I will always, you know, there's different points that you will know as you go through conversations with people. When is the right time? Just if you can constantly remind them, if they're on a drip, right? We say drip, but if they're on a monthly neighborhood nurture that's got your face on it, or they're receiving something from you, you know, on a regular basis that's got your information on it, the fact that they're real estate, that your real estate will always be top of mind. The ones that you will hate, okay? And I'll give you this example. This is what stuff that you never do, okay? I live on a private driveway, right? It's got 4 houses on it, okay? So private drive, it's got 4 houses on it, and I know all the neighbors. Some we get along with, some we don't get along with, but there was a guy on the end, right, where our driveway is. He's not on our driveway, but he's right there at the end. And he would call me when he would have information, you know, questions about the city or, you know, about real estate and stuff like that. And I had another neighbor come down. They were over for dinner and they're like, hey, I think Rusty's thinking about, you know, or Xavier's thinking about selling his place. And I said, really? I said, that's interesting. And I went down there and I just knocked on the door. I said, Xavier, hey, you know, so-and-so was telling me you're thinking about listing your, oh my gosh, Bill, I totally forgot that you were in real estate. I wasn't sending Xavier anything, you know. It was just like, oh, you're a friend, your neighbor, right? I mean, we would bring him food, you know, because he's a guy by himself, him and his dog, right? But he just looked at me as a friend, not as a real estate agent, right? So if I had been sending him information on a regular basis or doing a CMA, right, he would have gone. He was like, Bill, I would have gone with you in a heartbeat. I just forgot. Okay. Now, great thing is, it's not a great thing. It's not a great thing for him. The agent that represented him totally undersold his house. Totally just, I was like, oh my goodness. The neighbors on the other side of the driveway that, you know, I constantly reminded that I was in real estate, you know, and they're very good friends. We ended up selling their house, right, for $60,000 more than what this guy got for it.
Wow.
Actually, $70,000 more than what the guy got for his, right? And I'm like, yeah, there you go. Next time you'll go with me, right? So But it's keeping that, you're right, it's keeping that balance. It is. But I think you genuinely have to show people that you care about them.
Mhm.
Right?
I have a almost client. I always say they're almost clients because they haven't actually signed anything and said, yes, let's do this now. They're like, yes, I want to do this, but they're not in a hurry, right? So, and she was all excited at first. Again, it was kind of like a new concept for her because I don't know if I was telling you this the other day, Bill, but it was like, I kind of hey, can I practice on you? Because she knew I was brand new and, you know, has been one of my cheerleaders during the training and the whole bit. And I'm like, hey, can I practice on you? Just kind of presenting this information, And besides that, this, you never know, this might be something for you. This might be something that you find pretty exciting and it might not, and that's okay, but it would just still help me. She's like, yeah, sure. So I did it's perfect situation. And by the time I did a net sheet, I did everything. She's like, oh my gosh, really? Wow, that would be amazing. And it went really well, but that was like a couple months ago. So then I'd be sending her things and, you know, based on that. And then I felt like she was kind of ghosting me, wouldn't return texts, wouldn't return emails or calls. And I'm like, and so finally I actually did get her on the phone. And again, it was one of those like, oh my gosh, she's just been busy. Still though, I'm like, you can't return a text to your friend. And I just started the conversation. I was like, hey, I just want to make sure we're really clear. Your friendship's the most important to me, whether we do business together secondary, but I want to make sure that our friendship is good. And I just want to be totally honest with you. And I hope you can be totally honest with me either way. She's like, oh yeah, of course. And so I'm like, okay, at least I cleared that, because I'm like, why aren't you returning my text? You know? So yeah, I just feel like I'm, you know, with friends doing business and actually having them as a client and actually doing transactions and stuff with them, I feel like is a little trickier in its own unique way than just with strangers. Yes, you're still building that relationship and the rapport and the trust, you know, with these new people. But I feel like when it's friends, especially a long-term friend, it just has this slightly different edge to it or consideration to it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, when we know, right? Understand this, logic makes people think. So when you logically presented numbers to her, even as a practice, it got her mind thinking, right?
Yeah.
What's the thing that makes people take action though? Emotion, right? So when you're checking in with somebody and you're really caring about somebody, when you find out what the emotion is behind something, that's when you'll know, hey, this is the perfect person. Now remember, people in your database, it's not that we're looking at everybody in your database to buy or sell their house, right? We're also looking at them to say, hey, who do you know that, you know, or who can you introduce me to that is, you know, thinking about buying or selling their house, right? I mean, when we ask people who they know, that's when you'll start to see, oh, you know, I've got this person, I've got that person, this is who I really want to connect with. It's not always about getting them to buy or sell their house. It's great when they do, right? But if they can refer you to people, that's what you really want. Okay. Josh, did you have something?
So for me, like, I think that as I'm just going to be completely blunt and fair. So as we were just talking about all that, I just totally sent out a message to like 12 people in my phone saying like, dude, I am horrible. In the past, I was bad, but even more so this last year, I've been horrible about keeping up with you for just keeping up with you's sake. So I plan to be better at that. Like, just because it's the truth. I think that's the hardest part for me is like actually communicating with people. And like I'm easy to build relationships with, but I suck at building relationships. So I just sent a bunch of people I actually care about that message saying I suck at this and I want to be better. But I think having a focus to actually want to be better is going to drive me to be better, not just with the people in my life that I care about, but also be better at that when it comes to potential clients. And if I'm focusing on being better at that in my personal life, then it's only going to trickle out into that business professional life of building those relationships with those people. Because, you know, I talked to somebody at Taco Bell the other day, and I have their phone number, and I'm willing to bet you that they're not going to be buying a house in the next 6 months. So if I don't build that relationship, then I don't get to be the one who helps them do that in a year or a year and a half. So I think just being conscious of where we fall short in those things is good. Um, and being willing to just admit and communicate. I think when we talked about the question about talking to friends and doing that before, is think the biggest thing is establishing boundaries and communicating. So I just got a listing with some really good friends of mine. And the first thing I told them before we got ready to sign in paperwork is like, I'm going to do my best to communicate with you to whatever degree and however much and how detailed you need and want me to be. But I also want you to communicate with me on the other side. If you feel like I'm not doing something right, I'd rather end this and have you find another agent who's going to sell your home and get you guys what you need than lose our friendship. So just putting that at top of mind, like, okay, I'm top of mind for them to choose me as an agent, but I want our friendship to be top of mind when it comes to any barriers we have in this business transaction. If the business transaction is going to get in the way of that, let me send you to someone who's going to be exactly what you need. And so communicating that and setting those boundaries, establishing the expectations from each other, what it is that I can and can't do, and what it is I need them to do.
And if I can share one piece of advice, especially when it comes to friends, right, is once the transaction closes, keep staying in contact with them, right? Because there's nothing that feels worse or somebody feels used as a friendship when you close on a transaction, then you stop communicating. You've been in communication with them, and then all of a sudden you stop, right? It may not be as often, but stay in contact. Hey, just checking in. How are things going? Right? And that means more to them than anything else. It's that this relationship just doesn't end when we close. Because friends that you're constant in contact with, or that are sending referrals, right? They want to know that you really care about them. Here's what's going to be hard, Josh, right? If you suck at staying in touch with people, right? It's staying in touch with them after you close a deal. It's going to be even harder. You really got to be purposeful about that.
Well, that's one of the things I appreciate about this, the systems that
Yeah.
I have in place being with Keller Williams. Like I've started using that. Like there's people in my database that I know are not going to be buying homes, unless major changes in their life. But I've still got them on little task reminders so that I don't forget to just text them and say, "Hey, I love you, dude." So like it's nice to have these systems and processes in place to help my business, which are also going to help my personal relationships. Yeah. So I think that's one of the beneficial things about what we have in place, is to be able to not let those people fall through the cracks.
That's it. That's exactly what those systems are there for, man. That's exactly what they're there for. What else is on your guys' minds? What's keeping you up at night as you get into this business? Have we answered every question that you have? Okay. Let me ask you this question. When can you guys come into the market center?
Today.
Okay. I mean, anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we get to when this whole COVID thing gets under control, I would highly encourage you. It's very easy to work from home. I would highly encourage you to get into the market centers and be around agents and, learn and understand and ask questions and do all these wonderful things, because your best business is going to be when you start to build a network and find out what everybody else is doing. Keep your systems and models, keep them simple, right? That's what the systems and models of command are there for, is to keep it simple for you guys. Be consistent in the things that you do. The more consistent you are, right, it comes across more natural as to this is who you are. whatever you say that you're going to do for people, go above and beyond what you say you're going to do for them. Right? So it will set the standard. Don't ever tell somebody you're going to do something and then not do it, because you will hurt your business. Okay. All right. If we've answered all of your questions, and this is okay. I mean, this is kind of the wrap up of, and the ahas of, what you've learned over the last 12 sessions. Okay. This is the spark element of it, right? And then you're going to get into, the other section of this in Ignite for the next 12 sessions. But anytime, guys, that you have the opportunity, just continue to reach out to your people, continue to lead generate, right? Lead generation is all about relationships. Okay, keep building that relationship with people, right? Continue the relationships that you have, make new friends, okay? And when you get the opportunity, come in and see us. So if you want to come, the market centers are open. All of our locations are open. You can go in anytime and see people and talk to people, right? It may just be the staff that's there, but come, ask, talk. We're happy to meet with you anytime.
Hey, Bill, just real quick on that topic there. So I was reading the COVID notices, and I thought there was limited capacity. Are all of us able to be in the office all the time, or do we have to like reserve time or space?
Well, right now with the COVID, yes, there is limited capacity, right? We're at 25% capacity, and we're able to have like 5 people, in a room socially distanced together. With the amount of people that are in the office right now, we're not going to hit that 25% capacity. So you're okay. Yeah. When we start the lineup and keep you waiting in the rain before you can get in the office building, that's when you're like, maybe I should just wait. But right. Yes, you're able to go in.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And it's so, and because Ed and Junko, you guys are at Mountains to Sound there, right? That's your home location. You've got that whole the learning lab is what we called it, right? But that open area there on the left, that's for you to be able to go in there and do those and to get together. So all that we ask is wear your masks and socially distance, right? And not, even if you don't believe in the mask mandate, right? Do it because you care about other people. That's all. That's it. Okay. Notice I'm not wearing my mask, but I'm in my office by myself, so it's okay, right? So if you ever come in my office, I'm just telling you right now, I'll be like, we'll stay socially distanced, but I'll look at you and I'll be like, if you're comfortable taking off your mask, you go ahead and take off your mask.
So Junko's asking a question. Go ahead. Junko, what's your question? She had one quick question about that.
So when you're showing and the customer didn't really want us to wear masks, if it's outside, maybe it's okay. I don't know, but indoor have to, right?
Indoor you have to. It is state mandate that when you are showing, if your client will not wear a mask, right? You're not supposed to perform your duties for them, because it's a state mandate.
Okay.
So
even
if they
request to put the mask on, but they refuse. What would you do?
Here's the thing, and it's, we have the opportunity, right, to either continue to help our industry and continue to be able to help clients, or to be completely shut down and be considered non-essential. All dependent if we follow what the rules are. Do we always agree with the rules? No. I mean, how many of your kids, those of you that have kids, agree that, this is the right time to go to bed, or that they've got to, kids, you set the rules for your kids, and your kids a lot of times will, be like, no, even when they're 2 years old, right? My grandson is always looking at, at us and going like, no, night, it's not night time. And it's like, no, it's 7:30. It's your bedtime. You're going to bed, right? I do that for his benefit. So when we go and we show homes, we have to be in mask.
Yep.
We have to be. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
And that's not a problem. I guess she was saying the difficulty was when a client refuses, or if they, and we were outside. Actually, I was doing some land showings with Chris actually, and we're outside. It was Dude's land. It was probably okay. We were social distance, but they just masks.
Yeah.
And we were like, hey, away from this or what?
You can't let somebody into somebody else's home if they're not wearing a mask.
Right.
Understand that. And you're doing that because you're keeping the homeowner safe.
Right.
Right. And their family safe. So you can't. So, and you're going to have clients that are like, nope, I refuse to wear a mask. And it's like, I'm sorry, I can't show you this home. We can't tour this home. Okay. Kevin,
It's
you have
funny.
something?
Yeah, it gets really awkward at times. I've had actually my own mother that refuses to wear a mask,
Mhm.
and I'm like, and she wanted to see this home. I was like, hey, you got to wear it, or you don't see the home. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it can get kind of awkward, but I mean, just I don't want to risk my license or anything like that if it comes to that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
And you have no idea who has cameras where in their own home.
Oh,
Yeah.
believe me.
Yeah.
So we get brought into this, right? As team leaders and as designated brokers, we get brought into this. I cannot tell you, we've probably had a handful of calls, as this whole thing went over the last year, of people going, this person came in, right, into my home, all because they had cameras without a mask. Or there was, when you could only have 2 people in the home and they brought in 3. Believe me, we were getting calls, and we were looking at our agents going, you have to follow the mandates. You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So
right now, are you still not supposed to leave your business card, or can you do that now?
So I have to double check, but I don't leave my business card right now if I'm showing. So
Okay.
No flyers, no business card.
Okay, because I went into a preview yesterday and there was like 10 business cards, and I'm like, should I leave it because everybody else did? I wasn't quite sure.
I would be more comfortable not leaving my business card than I would leaving my business card.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Okay.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So what's the best, so like one of the best things in my mind about having a listing is having your sign right there in the middle of a neighborhood with your name and your phone number showing like, hey, I know how to sell a house. What do you do when you're dealing with an HOA that says there's no you're not allowed to put signs? What's the best way to navigate a situation like that?
And that is a tough one, right? So then it comes to the marketing, right? And in the agent remarks, I put, hey, no sign allowed, per HOA. I will, however, direct mail that neighborhood, right? Because I'm getting it out to the neighborhood. Hey, choose your next neighbor, right? Whatever. But I still market that neighborhood. I just do it through direct mail. Normally what I would do is I go door knock, right? Because it's cheaper, and direct mail if you wanted to, but right now it's just all direct mail. So
Are we technically not allowed because of COVID to door knock, or is it just something people are doing?
Technically, you're not allowed to door knock right now. Yeah, and I have to look. I apologize. It changes like on a weekly basis, so I got to go back and look. I didn't look this week.
Is that what's posted at the Northwest MLS?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
I, for the first time the other day, looked at the what are they called, the disciplinary actions or whatever.
Oh, disciplinary actions. Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, and most of them were some agent not following the showing instructions. So could that be like a host of things they did wrong, or is there some common thing?
Haven't gone through the disciplinary list. I mean, I would say in most cases, it's just that there are rules for showing, right? The agents will put those in the agent remarks. I would, as agents, always read the agent remarks, know exactly what you're supposed to do. Okay. It's the biggest thing that happens is people don't read the agent remarks and then go and do something that, yeah. The most common is like, that I've seen as of late is even when you set up on a showing time, it's like, you still have to call the listing agent, right? And people don't call the listing agent and still go show the home or something.
Would it say that in the agent remarks? Because I don't.
It would just, yes, it would say in the agent remarks if you have to call the listing agent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Great questions though.
Bill, do you know anybody in the marketplace that works with probate?
Yes. If I would talk to Theo,
Okay.
right? Theodora, she's very, very good with that. So, or can recommend. She's involved with a lot of, or with, can't remember if she's a paralegal or she's actually a lawyer, but she'll set you up with the right person.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. What else is on your mind? Kevin's like, just let me go to work.
Sorry, it's a crazy day. I'm listing a buddy's house.
Go get him, man.
Yeah, so it's all the stuff back and forth.
There you go. You're good. You're good. Is there any other questions though?
I'll just say our first one is actually a lease, home lease for, and so what I'm wondering, well, I know there's like, of course the money situation is not there, but it's more about, helping a friend out and what they, what they need. And it's their folks' home, right? I think it's the home they grew up in as well. Right. And it's, I'll just share. It's like a ton of work for
no money.
No, for nothing. And that's fine. We're willing to do, obviously, for a friend. And also it helps us go through the ropes and touch a bunch of the processes and stuff. So we're fine. But I'm just wondering if anyone else has I connected with who was it, Thompson? Was it Jennifer Thompson? In our market center. So we some good advice on that. I've done leasing as a landlord and stuff, so I'm kind of okay with it. But is there any other folks that sort of have philosophies on using leasing, strategically, or totally walking away from it? Just kind of curious what people's views on residential leasing.
I will tell, and I would automatically direct you back to Jennifer Thompson again, right? Because this is how she derived a lot of her business, that in open houses. But she does. There are some that do it, right? Most people lease because it's their own investment. But there are some people that understand that those that are leasing their home at some point are going to sell, right? In most cases. I will say in 2020, those that I was highly encouraging people to find non-owner occupied out of state owners, that were leasing homes here in the state of Washington, because you couldn't travel, you couldn't do these different things. It's like, now's the time to sell your home, right? And so I was encouraging agents to call those people and get in touch with those people. As a real estate agent, do what you love, right? Do what you love. Is there a lot of money in leasing? No, there's not. There's not. I think you can get a higher return of your investment, but just remember that those people, whoever helps them lease their home and does a great job with it, is going to eventually sell that home probably for them at some point. So. Anything else? Are we done? Okay, I know this is an interesting Ignite because this is all about market center specifics. Hopefully we hit those for you. Again, there's policy and procedure manuals that you can always go grab and look at. But just know how much, honestly, we as a market center, this is all about you. We work for you guys. And so we would always love to hear your voice, right? We'd love to hear what's important to you and how we can make your experience as a real estate agent better. That's what we're here to do. So just know how much we love you guys, okay? If there's no further questions, let's go start lead generating, okay? All right, guys, have an awesome day. I will make sure that Goldie gets something out, whether there is class on Monday or not, okay? But I do not believe that there is. So have a blessed day, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.